Something about death. Death warmed up. You know, this is a film, outside of maybe a few imprint releases that have pretty awful transfers. Like, I was actually debating talking about the Dead Zone in this video, but I'm actually like, they've actually got some special features that I don't have. Plus, it does have some nice artwork. So, not on the back. The artwork's pretty shit on the back, but it does have some interviews and stuff that just aren't on plus a video essay from Lee Gambin, so it's got some stuff. It's got some good stuff there. My main criticism is the transfer. Mostly because, like, 2 months prior, there was a 4K scan released from Scream Factory, which I've since got and watched and really liked. So, you know, I'm going to watch the film, I'm going to use that. But if I'm going to watch the special features, I could basically just go to the imprint because they have all the same special features except for, like, one interview. So that's, like, the only thing the Scream Factory has to offer that's different. Insane. But, of course, then comes to the main question that I want to ask myself. Do I regret buying any films? I had actually filmed this a few months ago, and I only had this as my example, which was Death Warmed Up. One of those classic, it's a low-budget horror film. It's a New Zealand film, so that could be fun. They've got some interesting films, and I'm not just talking about, like, Taika Waititi. I'm, like, actually talking about, like, 80s and 90s shit. They've got some interesting films. I think The Quiet Earth is one of theirs as well. So, this one I don't like at all. Even though it's 80 minutes, it felt like the longest movie I'd ever watched. It's exceptionally disjointed. It's a bloody mess of a film. So, yeah. And it really wants to emphasize a lot of the practical effects and stuff. And it's just very boring. I thought it was exceptionally boring. I just thought it was a waste of money. That's probably the only film I can ever say that I actually genuinely regret buying. It's one of those things of, like, I obviously buy a lot of movies, and to make the argument of, is a film good enough, is a film not good enough, I was going to say Fall as well from last year, but I got it as a Christmas gift, so I didn't actually buy it. So, I mean, technically, I got a voucher, and that was just because it was easier for a family member to send me a voucher for JB than it was for them to actually buy the things individually and then send them to me. I was just, here's $100 whatever, buy the things you want to buy. It's wonderful. I got this recently, the HD DVD of The Thing. I do not have a HD DVD player. It would be the equivalent of me buying a VHS and being like, I don't have a VHS player. But I do. We've had one in our family for like 20 years. It's got a DVD player attached to it. Probably longer than 20 years, actually. But I still have that because we have some VHS tapes, video cassettes. It's really tricky to say. Do you say VHS tapes? Because it's like, that's video home system tapes. Does that make sense? I don't know. How the hell did people ever delineate what was what? It's a VCR is the recorder, a VHS is the home system. Is that not the same thing? As a video cassette, I have a few of those. Most of those are just for novelty, like the original Uncut King Kong, the original Star Wars trilogy, the original versions of the Star Wars trilogy, mind you. Simpsons, H.R. and stuff, Gone with the Wind, Sherlock Holmes spoof. But then you get the HD DVD of The Thing. Now, that's the thing where I can compare it to Death Warmed Up and be like, where Death Warmed Up, I can watch the film and it's a remastered transfer, whatever the crap, and just be bored out of my mind and be like, this was a waste of money. Like, I cannot remember having a good experience watching that movie. I remember there's a part in a lab, there's a part in a tunnel, there's like a biking gang that chases them. It just felt like a bad ripoff of Mad Max, even though it's emphasizing before Brain Dead, before all of these like more iconic movies. Here's one that's worse. Which, look, I don't want to like. It's one of those things where it's like I don't want to be like really cruel to like the filmmakers or whatever. Like, it's pretty fucking solid that, you know, 30, 40 years later you're able to get a Blu-ray release. You know, you're able to get a release of a film you wouldn't expect, but at the same time, I own a lot of films that are like that you wouldn't expect that they would get physical media releases, but at the same time they do, you know? maybe it's just easy to get the transfer, so someone like Arrow Video, Criterion, whatever, put their money into restoring it and bring it to light, you know? But then there's just the equivalency of buying something that's $5, basically worthless, that being the thing, because it's a completely different format, one that even when I bought it, the cashier was like, you know, this is a HD DVD, can you play this? And I'm like, no, I'm buying it for the novelty. I'm buying it for the fact that I've never bought a HD DVD in my life, because I've never seen one in a store before. And I'm buying it because it's the thing. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. The fact that I have several goddamn releases of it on Blu-ray alone, from like 4 or 5 different steelbooks, the Turbine limited edition German release, which half of it I can't even understand because it's in German. They've got the original short story plus a behind-the-scenes booklet that goes into both the Carpenter version and the 2011 version. I just need to translate them. I just am lazy as shit. But I have all these different editions, and I'm like, this is cool. It's like the shitty old transfer that they had on the original Blu-ray, which I watched when I initially watched the film. This is pre-me being like, I want to watch this film in the best quality possible, and then buying that quality possible, and then watching the film, which I do that. That's a thing that I do. I have All About Eve, I got the Criterion. It's not on the channel. I spent like $40 odd to buy it, luckily from Cinemaniacs, and I bought it 4K transfer, having no idea if I'd like the film or not. Even though it won Oscars, it's highly rated. I had multiple people suggest it to me. I have had the DVD on my fucking shelf my whole life. Well, not my whole life, but probably majority of my life. It's not mine, it's Dad's, but still. And I've known about it all that time because it's just been sitting there. And I got it out a few weeks ago because my mate Phil suggested, hey, you should go watch All About Eve. It's a classic. And I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. I looked it up to see if, they got the Criterion, but it's bloody expensive. Whatever. They had a sale at Cinemaniacs. I got it for a good price. Watched it the other night. It's a fucking good film. I don't feel like I wasted my money on this film, both as a transfer and as a film, but also as a staple of this is a part of film history. I can be like, hey, I have All About Eve, a film that probably maybe not really big film history kind of thing, but still, it's like an iconic film, I guess. I don't really think there's any really iconic scenes outside of like the last scene of the film, but still. There are a lot of films that are like that, where I will look at my shelf and be like, was it really fucking worth buying this? Some of them are just updated scans. Like, I don't need to get the 4K of Cat People. I just did because I wanted to. I haven't even seen it yet. I've had the cinema cult version for like 2 years, and I have not watched it because I just liked the original one. And I'm like, hey, I like the cast, I like the director, I like the David Bowie song. I might like this, and now it's a 4K UHD, so I can watch that instead. Get rid of my, cinema cult version. Easy peasy. Came with a sleeve. So, I didn't want to just make this video being like, I hate Death Warmed Up, it fucking sucks. There's a lot of movies that suck. I own a lot of movies that suck. It's fine. I think it just comes to this novelty that I kind of want to talk about, where buying films, I don't really want to stipulate formatting, because realistically, getting a HD DVD is completely irrelevant. But more or less, if I'm going to, and this kind of correlates with the whole thingy of, is it worth buying a film that you haven't seen? And it's just that. What if you don't like the film? And that was my mistake that I made when it came to Death Warmed Up. It wasn't on streaming, it wasn't available anywhere else. I didn't look it up. I have no fucking idea. No idea as to whether or not I could have just streamed it elsewhere, or rented it online, because you can do that. You could just rent a film, and it's insane to me. And I think that's because I grew up with Video Easy. The equivalent in the US is like Blockbuster. We have Video Easy. And we rented films. I don't remember them. I don't remember renting films. It's such a long time ago in my life that I do not remember renting a film. I don't think I do, at least. But I mean, we have a lot of those DVDs that have the Video Easy tag, so I think to some degree we've just bought films from Video Easy, because you could do that as well. Insane stuff. It's one of those things where I don't like to regret buying a film, because to some degree, even if I don't like the film, I can at least be like, it's a staple of film history. I'm collecting art. There is some fucking merit to buying this goddamn thing. But with that film, I don't think there was any merit to buying it. Like, I was in this phase of buying Australian and New Zealand films because, like, Australian films for the element of, hey, I'm Australian, I want to be able to support, even just fucking collect, have films that are filmed in the country I live in, that are produced by the country I live in, you know, with visual creators from the country I live in. So, same as something like Wormwood. Oh, do I still have Wormwood on Blu-ray? I fucking doubt it. That's maybe the second film I would list down as a film that I definitely regretted buying. But that was one of those things of, I wanted to collect a film that was Australian. It had some pretty decent reviews. The whole Mad Max meets, Dawn of the Dead, which I hate. I hate when they use those taglines. But, like, it kind of sells you a bit. And they did end up making a sequel that came out last year. And, honestly, good for them. But I did not like that film at all. I did not like Death Warmed Up. I think there's a bit of a delineation, because Death Warmed Up is from the early 80s, exceptionally low-budget New Zealand film, which has more of a cult resonance and interest to me because it's an older film. You get some probably better-looking effects. I guess, I don't know, if I was to compare the two films, I'd probably argue Wormwood is probably better, but I didn't like Wormwood that much either. And I mean, I don't know, to some degree it's like, is that a bad thing, like that I'm like disliking a film that's released in my own country? There are plenty of films in this fucking country I do not like. It's fine. I'm allowed to dislike Australian films. But yeah, I mostly only got them because they were, well, for Death Warmed Up, it was the artwork. The artwork definitely sold me. The idea of it sold me on it. I was just interested, and I'm like, hey, it's a New Zealand film. I'd watched The Quiet Earth. I really liked that. There was a lot of low-budget, or mid-budget, probably just low-budget, New Zealand films that I'd bought, and I was like, I really like these. Maybe I'll like this one as well. And honestly, I mean, I probably should rewatch it. I mean, that's one thing. The ugliest, most repulsive movie made in New Zealand. Geez, Q Magazine was just, like, really honest about that. I mean, it does have some interesting gore effects, but it's just that I think the film was, like, just really boring. I think it was just that. I think it was simply that. It wasn't... I mean, I think the same for Wormwood. I don't disdain the effects works or stuff, because the effects are fine, for what it is. I just thought the films were boring, You have an idea, maybe it just doesn't work out. It's fine, It's not as regrettable as something like me buying the HD DVD of the thing, because I can't watch it. I think if I was able to get a HD DVD player for really cheap, I might buy one, plug it in, see how it goes. Let's see, did I ever actually log Death Warmed Up? I gave it 2 stars. How to watch Death Warmed Up. Step 1, buy physical copy. Step 2, remove disc and place in microwave. Step 3, press start and enjoy the exploding power lines with the seasoning of blood squirts. I have no idea what the hell I was talking about there, but I did not like this film. I mean, it doesn't have the most popular reviews anyway. It's got like 2.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. What about Wormwood? I wonder what I rated Wormwood. Wormwood, Road of the Dead. I gave it the exact same review. I gave them both 2 stars. Yeah, my review for that one was simply, this is a student film, right? Like, I think the problem with Wormwood that differs was Death Warmed Up was a mess of a movie. It had some nice effects, sure, but it was either exceptionally boring or just completely messy. Whereas Wormwood was it just looked cheap. Like, the effects, sure, but the way, the visual style, it's like, I know it's become a popular thing to color grade your film since the mid-2000s, but maybe you should color grade your film, Especially because by this time I was watching this film in 2019, I had done some short films, and I'm like, they probably have fucking terrible color grading as it is, but I don't even know if they have color grading. I think one of them does, but still. I just remember watching it and being like, this just looks like an hour and a half long student film. Which is bad, you know? When they released the trailer for the second one, I'm like, I am not interested in this at all. Like, again, good for them that they were able to make a sequel. It's a thing, go for it. I'm still happy about it that they're making movies. I just don't care for it. And look, they got money out of my pocket because I bought the Blu-ray. And if I ever get the chance to watch the second one, I probably won't. But if I do, like for probably a cheap price, maybe. Like if it's on streaming for free or whatever, could be on Stan for all I goddamn well know. I don't even think I have the Blu-ray for Wormwood anymore. I'm pretty sure I sold it for like $5 because I'm like, I don't want this film in my collection. It is like a disgrace to my shelf. Death Warmed Up, on the other hand, it's like, at least the spine looks pretty. I mean, like, it's a little guy with his brain coming out, you know? Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on films you regret buying, mostly in terms of things you can actually watch, because I can clearly say that buying the Thing on HD DVD is worthless, and it clearly is, but there's a novelty to it. It's one of my favorite films. I have so many editions of it. I wanted to get the HD DVD because it was $5 and I've never bought a HD DVD before. That's cool, you know? But buying a 1983 New Zealand film just because it happens to be promising does not mean it's worth $25 fucking dollars. I'm pretty sure I spent that much money on it. Wormwood, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure I spent $10 to $15 on it because it was most likely cheap by that stage anyway, and I was buying Australian films. So, yeah. Anyway. Let me know if you regret buying any physical media releases of a film, and these could be, like, extremely expensive releases. Like, I probably did not need to get that Steelbook release of Inglourious Bastards. I should sell that. So, yeah. A lot of releases I should definitely sell, but still. That's all. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Adios. I should note that there are definitely films that I regret buying that, like, War of the Worlds, for example, bought the DVD, a year later the Blu-ray comes out, and it's like a 4K scan. I'm like, you son of a bitch. I hate when that